Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Unnamed Cybersecurity Show. Hey, parents, make sure your kids are away from the speakers. This is a not safe for work podcast. Warning, not safe for work podcast.
I feel like that's aimed at me.
Oh no.
No, it might be named for a few
All of the above.
All of the above. Because it's so. Chris.
Yeah.
Did you hear about LastPass and the news that they're going independent for the last 22 years?
Yeah, I'm not going to use my green room comparison analogy though for this because I feel like this might really end us all. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Hey, we're going to be independent. That's cool. Who's going to own you? Oh, it's going to be Francisco Partners and Elliott Management. Cool. Who do they own? Well, we're going to be an independent company underneath LMI Parent LP. It's a holding company of the same shareholder group who is strikingly is owned mostly by Francisco Partners and Elliott Management. So basically, they're a company that isn't directed by GoTo, but they're still owned by the same people.
Sounds like they're creating a company to protect themselves.
Yeah,
or to be sold later.
Well, the reason I brought this article up, and The Verge has reported on this over the years when we were digging into this. What caught my attention was they said, well, it's because of our security breaches that we're looking to go independent. But when you dig into the whole process, it's really a lot of smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
As far as the independence is concerned, because they're not doing a buyout and buying the company back. They're just changing the management team internally.
Yeah, like I said, it looks like they're trying to do that, they're not under the management team, but it's also looking like maybe they're going to sell them at some point. So getting them as an independent entity, even though they're technically they're owned by a holding company essentially, they could spin them out, package deal them or something. I don't know who else Elliott Management, Francisco Partners owns. I'm not going to dig that deep, but they might have a deal where they can spin them off later. But private equity is they want to get their money back, right? So this might be a start. This might be a start of a sale, or they IPO them, or they do something crazy. But
I mean, we're not offering financial advice here, but
educational purposes only. We're not financial advisors.
Please don't make any stock buys on our opinions. So, Bob, you shared with me this morning last night about Dropbox.
Oh yeah. So Dropbox's HelloSign product, the signature authentication like DocuSign, they had a data breach, and the bad guys managed to get login information, MFA information, and it looks like also API keys. So anyone that's got integrated stuff on these platforms needs to do some work today.
Yeah.
So the API keys, it looks like they disabled the API keys until you go and rotate them, which means you have to go people have to update their application connections and so forth. So people might might have registration forms set up on their websites thinking that the automation is going to go work, get a document. And guess what? That user is going to get an error code. And how many people are going to come back a second time or raise their hand? It's like, send me the contract so I can pay you.
Yeah. I like the hash passwords being stolen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the MFA and apparently the multi-factor information was stolen also. So the seeds might be stolen.
What does that mean, Bob, for those who are at the play at home?
So if the seeds for the MFA were stolen, it's basically they can set up another authenticator and become you. Because it's
a problem, couldn't it be?
It could be a little problem. So Dropbox is sent out an email this morning to change their passwords, and I've already got a couple emails from clients saying, "Hey, is this real?" I'm like, unfortunately, it is.
So let's explain two things real quick about this. What is password hashing? Mm-hmm. Right? Because I think people want to know. That, yeah. Right. So password hashing is basically converting a password into an unrecognizable series of characters. So if you steal the hash, you can do some things to reverse that, but for the most part, let's just say
There's websites for reversing it.
Right. But you can do something called salting where you can add characters, like a random piece of data, and before it runs through the hashing algorithm, and you should only be the one that knows what you salted it with, hopefully. They don't mention salting. So if they didn't salt these passwords, these are just going to be known hashes. I can tell you this, it's really easy to download. To basically, like Bob said, it's kind of easy. If it's a simple password that's like been used before, the hashes are probably out there, probably super simple to like reverse. So if you've reused your password on Dropbox, $, yeah, you might. That thing's toast. Just go replace it.
Yeah.
Boy, we are sunshine. We are purveyors of sunshine today, guys.
Oh yeah, well,
Rainbows, unicorns.
We're not creating the sunshine or the clouds. We're just reporting on them.
I'm always a little ray of sunshine. Thank you very much.
You are there, Matt.
We haven't even got to the spicy side yet.
We have
this is getting darker. It's
going to go down there.
No.
You know how we can, for all those who were playing at home, if you want to watch Chris's demeanor change, there's only really 2 words that you have to say. Change.org. And being responsible. So
well, change.org. That's probably. Are you referring to a healthcare situation, or are you actually referring to change.org?
Maybe I might be talking about the healthcare.
Change.org is something completely different. I think you just screwed out. I think you dropped.
Yeah, that's the.
That's a platform from Change, dude. And there's plenty of change we need.
We're not letting Chris go on that one. That would be a whole different rant.
So what's the right change, Chris?
Okay, so let's talk a little. Let me pull. I made notes for this one, guys. This is where we're gonna go. We're going sideways here. Let's talk about who's had a worse week than. I don't know. Pick somebody. How about Andrew Whitty? Does anybody know who Andrew Whitty is?
No.
He is the CEO of UnitedHealth, who owns Optum, who owns Change Healthcare, who exposed 1/3 of Americans' information because he had to testify in front of Congress and he had to talk about their data breach. Oh, this is where it gets real good, guys. October 3rd, 2022. I want to take you back to this day. Change Healthcare was finalized. They were now owned by UnitedHealthcare. 2022, October 3rd, 2022. UnitedHealthcare through Optum paid $8 billion in cash, bought Change Healthcare. October 3rd, 2022. If I'm not mistaken, we are in 2024. Does anybody dispute that at this point? I don't think so.
I looked at the calendar this morning. I'll second that motion.
Okay. February 12th, 2024. Hackers gain access to Change Healthcare. So last I checked, that's way over a year past. That's 16 months post acquisition? Roughly? A little bit more than that. February 12th, they gained access. How did they gain access? They stole some credentials and they logged in through a Citrix portal to give access to a desktop that, guess what? In 2024 didn't have multi-factor authentication. They just had to go, here's my username, here's my password, boom, into desktop. In 2024, to a company that has 1/3 of Americans' information, at least.
Wow.
That's
And
disturbing.
then they didn't know about it for 9 days because the only reason they knew about it, as these hackers were stealing 6 terabytes worth of data, was they were hit with ransomware on February 21st. So they said, we disconnected our data center so that they wouldn't get past Change Healthcare. That's interesting. And then he goes on to say, we stop 1 intrusion every 70 seconds. So we stop 450,000 intrusions a year. And he was talking about UnitedHealthcare as a total. I'd love to see his definition for what an intrusion is. Like somebody somebody goes out and I don't know, pings their Citrix server or their Citrix
or sends an email saying that they're a Nigerian prince.
Yeah,
the old Nigerian prince email comes in. Email comes in. It's an intrusion.
Exactly. So I want to change the tone here. I'm sick of this shit. I'm honestly sick of it. I've got 10 letters. I'm sure I'll get one from Change Healthcare because I do business with one of the pharmacies they deal with. I'm sure I'll get another letter. This is in the last 13 months, 14 months. I got 10 or 11 letters now. I think we need to, when we look at GDPR and we look at data privacy laws, GDPR can fine a company 4% of global revenue for just gross negligence. Up to, it's either 20 million pounds or 4% of revenue, whichever is higher. UnitedHealthcare did $371.6 billion in 2023. I'll repeat that. $371.6 billion. How about we just make a law that we take 5% of their revenue, or $18.58 billion. Each victim in this gets, if it's 110 million Americans, each victim gets $168.91. I don't want to stop there. I think we get that money in perpetuity or at bare minimum 10 years. And you know what? That 5% is not capped at the 5% for your 2023 revenue. No, that 5% is whatever revenue you have every single year. So if you keep growing your revenue, guess what? These people get paid more. You want to stop this shit? You want to stop companies from not giving a shit about our data? You put penalties like this on them. And guess what? This penalty can't be avoided by bankruptcy. Let's student loan this shit. Let's student loan it. No bankruptcy, guys.
Well,
this is your responsibility now. This is your responsibility.
He's rocking, man.
Dude, this is horse shit. Let's be real. I'm sick of this.
It's a very
Chris,
specific
you don't have to worry at all, because Bob sent me an email this morning from Wired that the U.S. government is asking big tech companies to promise to do better. Right, Bob?
That's right.
Well, please do the right thing.
It's okay. We got a problem. They're asking
nicely.
Please do the right thing. Microsoft announced too that they're going to fix their security because of some of the bugs they have. And then this week too, the FCC fined all 4 major wireless carriers for basically selling our location data. So
you got to make a buck.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, today AT&T announced that, or this week AT&T announced that if you pay $7, you'll get priority access to data. So you'll jump the line over people, which is funny because 2 miles from my house I get 5 bars but don't get data because they can't. And in 10 years they can't fix it. They just can't make the towers better. So there's that. So I think at this point, we sit here and we look at the TikTok bill. I read the TikTok bill, right? About banning TikTok. In there, they talk about data brokers, and they say data brokers are not allowed to sell to foreign adversarial governments. So Iran, North Korea, China, Russia, whatever, all that whole list, right? But nothing in that bill says they can't sell the data to, or they can't sell that data to a non-adversarial government who could then sell that data to an adversarial government. There's nothing in there for that. So I propose new privacy laws. When our data is sold, we earn a piece of that. They have to pay us.
There you go.
So instead of this thing like, hey, we can use Meta for free, when you sell our data, you have to pay us, and then you have to keep a ledger of who you sold the data to. So you owe that to us. So as we go forward in this world, and these corporations, and look, I love capitalism. But at some point, you have to look at this. And when you see a company like UnitedHealthcare have $371 billion, and they don't have multi-factor authentication on a jumping point that gets into their network in 2024, and their excuse is, well, they had some cybersecurity lapses that we couldn't take care of. You had 16 months, you assholes. Fix it.
How do you really feel?
Remember, we said at the beginning of the show that this is not for kids.
Yeah.
Parents, please remove your kids from the podcast.
I'm really trying not to drop an F-bomb at this point. But
what else?
It's just a matter of time. Let's be honest.
It's just a matter of
yeah, it is. So if we're going to allow corporations to merge, if we're going to allow these conglomerates to happen, and we're going to allow them to have our data, and they just don't care. And their big excuse is they go to Congress, they say, oh, we're sorry we lost the data. You're not sorry. Make them sorry. Fix it. A small company can't afford something like this. A big company that makes $371 billion, this shit should never happen at that company. I don't care. And if you want to go deeper on this, them being able to log into Citrix and get into the network is one thing. Them being able to basically trounce throughout the entire network, and I get it, nation state, they use advanced techniques, all this stuff, They got 6 terabytes of data out in 9 days. You're telling me you didn't notice 6 terabytes of data leaving your network in 9 days? Are you kidding me? This is like putting a neon sign outside your house saying, "I'm going on vacation. My door's unlocked. Please don't rob me." And then live streaming it to Twitch, and YouTube, and posting your address and saying again, "Please don't rob me." Oh, by the way, here's my social security number on the side of a bus, Mr. LifeLock. And then he proceeds to get hacked like 13 times.
Yes.
Chris, you have to explain that one though for those that don't understand.
If anybody's ever seen Norton LifeLock, Norton bought LifeLock, but LifeLock back in the day, Todd Davis put his social security number on the side of a bus, and he claimed we're so secure that you won't get your identity stolen. Dude had his identity stolen 13 times, like in the next 4 years.
A bunch of folks said challenge accepted, and it wasn't good for him.
So, pro tip: don't put your social security number on the side of a bus.
But here's one of the good note for what you were telling me, Chris. Here's the good news: UnitedHealth, if they were using AT&T, it could have been worse. Basically, because of the low bandwidth, they were only able to get 6 terabytes out. The problem was the hackers were using a better internet, and that's why they were able to live stream it.
But the point being, these companies, it's a responsibility. It is their responsibility to keep our data safe. If we're going to allow consolidation of critical infrastructure in this country, critical data in this country, we need to hold them accountable for what they have. They have gold. Let's be real. They have the 21st century version of gold. Treat it like that. Stop treating it like this. It's a matter of time before this becomes. This is already catastrophic enough for a lot of people, but like it's just a matter of time before it's like, what's the point? And that's what people are getting to.
The one thing I'd say on this here is, we've been talking about a company that's really a monopoly, and for most companies that are the mid-tier or the SMB space, having cybersecurity really is a market advantage. That puts your heads and shoulders. Because think about it, we've been complaining now about, these, United Healthcare. I mean, who do you want to do business with? As a company that sends you letters all the time, or somebody, a company that basically respects and works diligently to protect your data. And so that's the difference. That's usually the market advantage. Problem is when you scale to, you're one of 3 competitors, or you're doing 1/3 of the business, this is where we're seeing some of the fall down. But if you are a smaller business, you can't not afford to have a strong, resilient cybersecurity policy if you're going to grow your business.
Have you guys? How many of you guys have recently done like an assessment or something, or just talked to like small healthcare providers? Doesn't matter what. It doesn't matter if they're dental, optometry, or chiropractic or whatever, that have personal data on people.
All the time.
All the time.
Okay. How many of them have all this information stored on site? Like, what would you gauge a percentage of that?
100.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
So some use hosted EMRs, but yeah.
Some do, but all the ones we're looking at, they've got it all on site, and I've had people tell me, I don't care.
Okay.
I'll just make a new company.
And this is to back Carl's point up. If you knew going into, let's do a hypothetical that may be based off of real life, but we're going to call it hypothetical. If you went into, let's say, an optometrist, and you give them your medical information, you give them your insurance information, they have your social security number, everything like that. Would you pay more to know that they are taking the right steps to protect that data? And that's the question I want everybody to answer. So you can drop it down below. You can DM us, whatever.
Great question.
Think about that.
I would, but it's because I've had my identity stolen, and I know what things like that are. I have a feeling a lot of the comments we're going to get below are, no one wants to pay more.
Some of the comments we get below is like,
at some point.
Did Chris find the white powder that was at the White House for this episode? But
that's another show. Anyway,
but it's a question to ask yourself when you conduct business in general with a company. Would you pay more if you knew that they actually cared and they were taking the steps to protect your data? And sometimes we won't know, right? Because like at United Healthcare, we're assuming. Well, clearly that assumption was wrong for change.
We don't even really have a choice.
Right. We might not have a choice. But when you go into a small business, when you go into a provider, when you conduct business with people, how about business partners that you have? Like, would you pay a little bit more to know that they're doing the right thing so that your supply chain isn't interrupted? Like, you know that your data that you've shared with them, maybe you wire money in between them that's going to be safe and that's not going to be just stolen. Like, would you pay more? And I've walked into in the last couple of months, I've walked into chiropractic places, I've walked into medical places where even a small medical place can have 25,000 records of people in the area. And they may not do that much revenue. They may do less revenue than you think they do. They may not even do $1 million, but they have 25,000 records of people. Do you think that if they get breached, you're getting anything out of them? No, they're going to go out of business because they're going to be fined into oblivion.
That's their business plan.
And that's what, yeah, and that's a business plan. And that's something that's got to stop. But you know,
I'll even take it even to attorneys, wills and trusts, CPAs, any of these people that you're leaving the keys to your kingdom to.
And that's to Carl's point. That's why we do this. We don't want the world to be like this. Unfortunately, this is the way that it is. And healthcare has been broken for a long time. I used to work in healthcare and saw this way too often. It's broken. And it's not just what we pay. The security behind the data that they have is broken, and it's gold. And it has to be fixed. And we're not the ones to fix it. We can educate people on this, and you ask the questions. But the more people ask the questions, the more people that reach out to their Congress people that force this action, that's where change.org will come in. There you go, Carl. Full circle, baby. I did it.
See, I knew I'd change your candor.
This is how change happens. People learn and they ask questions and they demand better of the people that we elect to. And this isn't a left or right thing. This is everybody.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you are. Your data is important. It's gold. So let's treat it as such, and let's force people in Congress to actually act at the state level and at the federal level. And that's how we're going to get change. That's how this is going to get better. When people are actually forced to do things and actually have punitive damages that actually matter. Because right now, the damages that Change Healthcare through United is going to get isn't going to matter. It's not going to have any material impact on the people that are making money in that company, the investors in that company, the people at the top. It affects you. So let's start caring about each other and let's start forcing the issue with people to get this shit to change. That's my. I
think we got to get Chris off his soapbox now. I think.
Yeah.
You know what? Look. For those of you who remember Network, I'm thinking with Chris, it's like the movie Network. There's a famous scene. I think of Chris. He's like, "I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore." And that's what you need to do. That's what we need to do with our data, honestly.
This seems timely, not untimely for this conversation. But I thought about running for political office at one point, and my wife told me she divorced me. So
I would watch that shit show go down all year long. Please do it.
Somebody else. Okay, again, parents.
I will pay admission.
Yeah. So I have to.
I think I have a title now: the Not Safe for Work Cybersecurity Show.
we are advocating for change. We're advocating for the better of humanity, and it's going to start with everybody that speaks up. So
if
held my opinions for a long time. Here. Yeah,
we'll see Chris for 2024 elections.
That's not happening.
And the question of the day: would you pay more to make sure your data is safe?
Yeah. Think about that every time you conduct business with somebody, whether you own a business or whether you're just a consumer. Think about that.
Yeah.
Would the insurance company pay more to keep your data safe?
Mm-hmm.
That too.
That's what it comes down to.
So you guys have a wonderful week. I'm sure we'll have something else to rant about next week.
Half of us will be in Indiana.
Matt, that's right.
Matt, are you in Indiana?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Okay, so the three of us are going to a conference.
Mm-hmm.
Bob is relegated to New Jersey next week.
This sounds like a weird joke, but it's gonna be like 3 of us on one screen and Bob.
3 boys and a Bob.
We're done.
So
We're done. No Bob jokes. Let's go.
We'll figure out how to go live next week for you guys. Stay cyber safe, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, Carpe